Hi everyone and welcome back to Crafty Girls. Today I'm testing out two completely new molds that I got. One is a cross with a base and an adorable axolotl that you can see me putting mica powder into now. I'll be pouring the cross with white mica and adding John chapter 3 verse 16 and then decorating my little axolotl using this chameleon powder, rhinestones and a cute little crown. I also ended up with extra resin, which most of the time I do. So instead of wasting it, I poured a red glitter bauble jar and I decorated it for Christmas. So let's jump in and I'll show you how everything turned out. So like I said, I put some chameleon powder, mica powder into, it's actually a glitter mica powder. So I used that and I'm just pouring clear resin into my little axolotl. He is so gorgeous. I can't actually wait to show you how he did turn out. So here I am just making sure that there's no air bubbles and he is ready to have a top up and then he can sit for 24 hours just to cure nicely. This mica powder I got from Temu, my normal story. So I used the white mica powder now, just the plain, not the glitter or no chameleon or anything. It's just plain white mica powder. And I thought that would be really nice for the cross and the base. So here you can see I'm just pouring it in. Getting quite a nice high pour so that, like I said, I have my bubble remover on my Christmas list, so I am hoping and waiting for that to arrive. And here I just had a little bit of extra of that, so I poured it into my little extras mold there. I didn't do anything with those in the end. I have just left those plain and I will think about what to do for those. But I didn't decorate those or do anything with those. I just used up the extra resin because I didn't really want it to go to waste. So there I'm just spraying on my 99% alcohol. I love the way that mica goes when you spray on the alcohol. It's absolutely gorgeous. So like I said, I did have some extra resin left over, so I was going to use my crystal coaster mold that you can see on the right hand side there, but then I thought maybe the bauble would actually be better because I had only poured the bauble in my eco resin before. I haven't used it with the epoxy resin. So here I just used the red and quite a lot of red glitter. I haven't tried out the glue trick yet, and I was a little bit nervous to try it out here. So one day I will try out the glue trick. I know Glitz and Glitter, she always uses glue and hers turn out beautifully, but I know she has a different resin to me, so I will try it out, but I didn't want to try it out today. So you will see that the glitter does sink, but it doesn't actually look too bad. It actually gives it a little bit of a two-tone effect in the end, but the glitter that did sink looks absolutely gorgeous. So here I'm just going around because this mold has a lot of fine detail, so I did want to make sure that I tried to get into every little, it's holly and ivy, so it's leaves and it's little ivy and little bubbles and there's little dots and there's lines. You'll see once the actual bauble is unmolded. So there's quite a lot of fine detail in it. So I did want to make sure that I got out as many of the air bubbles as I could without having a bubble remover. So here I am just filling up, and again there is the little handle on the jar, on the bauble jar, so I wanted to make sure that I got the air bubble out of that because I didn't want any bubbles in the little handle, because that is basically the first thing you see. And then always, as usual, on any of the lips you have to go around to try and get out the air bubbles. And luckily, because of the red, and this mold is quite transparent, you can see if there are any bubbles. It's quite difficult to see the very fine detail, but in the actual lid part where the lip is, you can see if there are any that are sitting there not budging. So here again I did have a little bit left over, and that is also a new mold that I got. It's a small plate holder, and unfortunately I didn't have enough of the red glitter to do the whole thing, so I just made it a little bit of a two-tone. The one side of it has got the red glitter, and then the other side I had a little bit of the white from the cross and the base left over. I should have actually used the extra that I poured into the extras that I used earlier on, but yeah, that was in hindsight, because I had already used that. I could have taken it out the mold, I suppose, but because I had extra of the red, I used that in the little tray holder. So anyway, it worked out fine. That isn't for anything. I basically also just wanted to see how the little tray holder turned out. It's not for anybody, and I might just use it on my dresser or something for Christmas for one of my trays. So I'm not too worried that it was a little bit two-tone and a bit weird, but that's fine. We all have weird and wonderful things. So like I said, this was just a test of the mold as well, with that little bit of extra resin that I had. All I really wanted was, I wanted to try out the cross and mainly the little axolotl. So these were just extras as usual. I either have too much or I am about 3 milliliters too short. But today I had enough for one full axolotl, my cross and base, and my bauble. So I was quite happy with that. As you can see, I'm trying to blend the white in a little bit, get as much of the scrapings out that I could. And then here we have our extras. There are my little my brain fog again, sorry. I can't even remember what things are called. It is horrendous. Anyway, we'll get back to that. I'll think of it just now. And that is the base. It came out really nicely. I thought that color was really nice for a cross. I really think that did match my idea of what it was going to look like. Silvery white. I thought it was really nice, and it fits perfectly into that base. And then here was just the little extra plate holder. It's a little baby plate holder, so I just had to work out which way it went. There we go. And there. It's perfect. I think so, even though we have different colors. But you know what? You're not even going to see that, because if your plate's standing up, you're not going to see the back anyway. So there we go. Right, and then this is our little bauble lid. And again, I was hoping that we had no bubbles, and there are no bubbles, and every single bit of detail showed up. As you can see, like I did mention, the bottom of the mold where it was the top while it was curing is a lot pinker than the bottom section, but how beautiful is that glitter? There you can see it's a bit pink there, but you know what? I'm not too worried about it. But like I said, I do want to try out the glue trick that Michelle from Glitz and Glitter does. And here's my little axolotl. He is gorgeous, and that color is absolutely amazing. He's not a shiny mold. He's quite a matte mold. So the mica powder does give it quite a nice sheen to it, not a shiny shine. And then here I was just weeding out the wording for the cross. I thought that it was a really nice saying on there. It's John verse 3, chapter 16. So I was just placing that onto the cross. I do use my silhouette a lot, so it's really handy to have, and I think most of the crafters have either a cricket or a silhouette, or I think even the brothers make a version of the cutters, so I'm sure that most crafters have one of the cutters that they can do all their wording and that sort of thing. So how gorgeous does that look? The John chapter 3 verse 16 I had already weeded and done. I didn't really want to show that. And then here I thought I would put some rhinestones all the way around. Again, my little rhinestone picker-upperer. Don't know what it's called. I also got from Temu, and my rhinestones I got from Temu as well. 99.9% of my stuff I get from Temu. Just my resin, my eco resin, my gypsumite, that sort of stuff I don't get from Temu. I get that locally. I find that their UV resin, the eco resin, is not much cheaper than what I can get locally. So here I printed out a little dove on my 3D printer. He's tiny and he's very thin. And I just wanted him to go on the cross. So I'm just decorating him with a little bit of glitter UV resin, which again I got from Temu. And I have done a video on, I'm going to at some stage put it up. I got some color changing UV resin and I got some glitter resin, and they both work really nicely. The little bottles of UV resin, the glitter ones and the color changing and that I do get from Temu, but like I said, not the big bottles. The little bottles are fine just to get because they come in little packs of 6 or 8 or something like that, so those are ideal to get from Temu. So here we are, we're just going down his spine with some blue, and then he will go under the light. That was UV resin. I used UV resin for the rhinestones, and I used my cyanoacrylate for putting the little crown on. I thought he looked absolutely gorgeous with his little crown. He is too sweet. I love him. And he's tiny. Not very Christmassy, but I wanted to get my little axolotl. So there he is ready. I didn't do eyes or anything. I just left him plain. And then here I am also putting rhinestones in between the little dots on the lid because I thought I needed to have a little bit of decoration on this bauble. So again here I was using rhinestones with my UV resin and putting them in between the lines. Some of them pop upside down, so you have to flip them over and pick them up and then put them on. And here I just sped this up because I didn't think you wanted to sit and watch me putting rhinestones all the way around the lid. And then obviously I did half and half under the UV light, and that resin, the UV resin, works perfectly to put the rhinestones on. And then here I did exactly the same thing at the bottom. I did the UV resin with the little white rhinestones. They're not too obvious, but it just adds to the shimmer and the glitter on the actual bauble. And again, it was UV resin with rhinestones under the light, and it cures perfectly like that. So now here, I tried to balance it on my miniature cup holder, but in the end I didn't really get to use it. I was using my metallic green marker just to color in the holly. I think it's holly and ivy. I need to look up what that is. I'm sure it's holly. I call it holly and ivy. That's what it is. So if it's not that, sorry, you can correct me in the comments below if I'm calling it the wrong thing. But yes, here is my green metallic marker, and I just thought that looked really pretty, just doing the green leaves. I didn't do the top green leaves, and here all I added on was 2 little snowflakes onto the actual handle part, 2 little white snowflakes, and again, that was just my cyanoacrylate, which is actually nail glue. And here I just added in something I had done for my little puppy. It is a countdown calendar to Christmas when Santa Claus arrives. So I had done that also. That's also with my epoxy resin. And I had just put on a little saying that I did on my silhouette cutter. So I just thought I would show you that. I think it's so cute. I decorated it with some little snowflakes and 2 little silver paws that are charms. And then here I was just adding some UV resin that I've got in a black bottle, that it's so much easier to use if it's on a brush. And I was just going over the metallic marker with the UV resin, because I didn't want it to, not that it does, but wipe off, but I just wanted to make sure that it was sealed nicely. So I just used some UV resin in the bottle. If you want to, you can use gel nail polish top coat. It works exactly the same, but I actually just poured some into this black bottle, and it works a dream. It really does. It's so much easier than trying to do it with a paintbrush and then cleaning the paintbrush. So there we go. There is the final result of my bauble. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, the glitter did sink to the bottom a bit, but I'm not too worried about that. And then my little axolotl with his crown, and I really think that this cross came out beautifully, and it fits so nicely into the base. So guys, there we go. I hope that you had fun with me trying out my new molds and turning my leftover resin into something festive instead of just throwing it away or using on something that I actually wasn't even going to use. So guys, if you enjoyed this project, please don't forget to like and comment as well. I enjoy getting comments. And if you could subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And it does help my channel to grow. I'm not very big, but I'm hoping to get bigger. So let me know what you'd love to see next on Crafty Girls, if there is anything that you can think of. And again, until next time, stay creative, stay sparkly, and have a great one.